Shalom Aleichem. I am here with Sefer, Ascending the Path, Insight into Mesillat Yesharim. Let's begin. So, I previously, a while back, made a video on portion of part one. It's in my YouTube channel, just about this portion here. So you can go back and check it out on my YouTube channel, or on this channel I'm uploading. So, where we left off, I'm just gonna begin. This is, if you guys don't know, Mesillat Yesharim is the Ramchal's work. His name is Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzato, and he is an ancient, I don't know how ancient he is, but he is a rabbi from more than 100 years ago. So he's definitely a master of Kabbalah and Torah insight and teachings of Torah depth. But this is Rabbi Yaakov Hillel's insight to his work, into the Ramchal's work, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzato's work of Mesillat Yesharim. So this is insight, and this sefer is called Ascending the Path. So let's begin. Part 1, Pure Basics. What is Mesillat Yesharim? The author said, I did not write this book. This is the Ramchal says, the author of Mesillat Yesharim says, I did not write this book to teach people what they do not already know, but to remind them of what is already known to them and is very much publicized among them. For in most of my words you will only find things which most people know and do not doubt at all. But being so well known and their truth so obvious to everyone, they are very commonly ignored and forgotten. I often tell people that Mesillat Yesharim is akin to the instruction manual we receive with a new washing machine, fresh out of the box. The machine is a confusing mass of knobs and buttons and dials in order to derive maximum utility and benefit from our purchase. In order to derive maximum utility and benefit from our purchase, and in order to preserve our treasured garments and linens, we must learn how to use the machine properly. So too, Mesillat Yesharim tells us how to make the most of the tools Hashem has given us, our lives, and what we are and own, in order to achieve the best possible spiritual results. By the author's own admission, it is not a book of exciting new insights and profound original thoughts. Instead, it discusses simple, basic concepts and helps us understand them correctly. As mundane as this may sound, it would be very difficult to be a good Jew without the guidelines provided in Mesillat Yesharim. It is said that the Vilna Gaon kept his copy of Mesillat Yesharim next to his copy of the Yad HaHazakah, the Rambam's monumental code of Jewish law. Our sages tell us in Avodah Zarah that even the mundane conversation of Torah scholars requires study. By the same token, every one of the Gaon's actions was significant. If he kept these two sacred volumes together, there is an implicit lesson to be learned from this practice. It is safe to assume that the Gaon did not intend to suggest that the two authors were on the same level. The Rambam, the greatest halachic codifier of all time, was an early authority, and the Ramchal, a later authority, and there is, by definition, a vast gulf between the two. As our sages tell us in Shabbat, If the previous generations were like angels, then we are merely like men. The Goan's every move was measured, and there is no question that he adhered to every teaching of our sages. I feel, then, that the message is somewhat different. The Rambam and the Ramchal had much in common. They both compiled their classic works based entirely on earlier sources, with no personal glimpses, opinions, or interpretations. We know that every word in the Yad HaHazakah can be traced to a source in the teachings of our sages. The Rambam's words are exact and precise, and they do not reflect innovative opinions on the part of the author. Similarly, the Goan is said to have remarked that from the beginning of the Mesillat Yesharim until chapter 11, he did not find even one extra word. There's a footnote, and I'm going to read it. Not only Mesillat Yesharim, but all of the Ramchal's writings have their source in the teachings of our sages, the Zohar, and the works of the Arizal. For example, in his classic work Derech Hashem, it is possible to trace almost every statement made to the writings of the Arizal. Mesillat Yesharim, though, is an independent and very different book, and it is not openly structured around Kabbalistic themes, although its internal structure does have a Kabbalistic base. The Ramchal experienced much suffering in his lifetime. He was suspected of being affiliated with Shabtai Tzvi, was condemned by the great rabbis of his time, and many of his writings were burnt before his eyes, and yet there is not a trace of bitterness, rancor, or resentment to be found in his works. In fact, study of Mesillat Yesharim gives the impression that the author was the happiest, most tranquil, and contented man on earth. This capacity to write impersonally, detached from the troubles which beset him, was shared by the Rambam. The Rambam, too, was suspected of heresy, and his writings were also burned. And yet, their Torah remained Torah, pure, eternal truth, with no subjective elements. The Rambam and the Ramchal were separated by a gulf of 400 years, as well as a world of difference between their Torah philosophies. And yet, it is fitting that the Goan placed their classic works side by side. Small time. The Ramchal's aim is to remind us of clear, simple, obvious, everyday matters and make us aware of their importance. We need the reminder because we are only human, and as the Torah tells us in Devarim, it is the nature of humans to overlook the trifling and the commonplace. We may even forget them entirely. If Ekev, you will listen to these laws and keep and do them, Hashem, your God, will keep the covenant and the kindness which he swore to your fathers. The use of the word Ekev, usually translated as heel, is unusual. Rashi explains that it is a reference to those mitzvot which we tend to trample underfoot with our heel. How do we relate to mitzvot? Do we categorize them as big or small, vital or expendable, of greater or lesser importance? If we do, we are making a mistake. Most people know that certain mitzvot are big. Murder, theft, and adultery, for example, are serious business. Other mitzvot, though, we rate as somewhat less crucial, or perhaps not really crucial at all. There is a mass of small commandments, positive and negative, which we forget, ignore, or overlook. This is unfortunate, as it is precisely these small mitzvot which can earn us Hashem's eternal blessing. It is not enough to refrain from murder and adultery. As we will see, every mitzvah, in fact, every detail of every mitzvah, counts enormously. In Mesillat Yesharim, the Ramchal reminds us of this often forgotten truth. I'm going to stop there. So, Mesillat Yesharim is a wonderful book written composed by the Ramchal. It's a poetic book, very poetic. My gosh, very poetic. And its teachings are so in depth and so piercing. That's the only way I can put it. I mean, I read the English version, and the English word, even the English words, it's just like what I'm reading is like it pierces through the divine soul that is within me. It connects with the divine soul that Hashem breathed into me. And it's a work that should be definitely read, for one, and understood. We need to become to understand this work. And as we further read this insight to Mesillat Yesharim, you'll get an understanding of more about Mesillat Yesharim, the path of the just. So one thing that stuck out to me, of which I find that has the utmost importance, is that when it's the utmost importance to realize and understand and come to know that every commandment, prohibition, big, small, in your eyes, in the eyes of Hashem, it's not that they are compared to one another, each mitzvah, each prohibition. It's not that they're compared to one another, it's that they are merely commanded that we keep. Simple as that, is that they are all commanded that we keep. There's no use in trying to compare which one is more serious than another. And we'll leave that up to Hashem, to God. But our job is just to accept and to listen, and to have that pathway, and to create a pathway for the Torah in our lives, and to create that pathway, to clear up the pathway, and to fulfill each and every commandment as if well, really, to just fulfill them. And there's no, like I said, there's no use in comparing which one is which one should I do over the other, or which one is more severe, which one has more impact negatively on us. No, that's a mistake. That is definitely a mistake to do that. Each one is of each one is of the utmost importance to keep and to obey the word of Hashem. And this is a book of midot, a book of mitzvot, the Ramchal's Mesillat Yesharim. So it's a book of simcha, joy. So I will finish off here, and we will pick up where we left off, God willing, Be'ezrat Hashem, sooner than later. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. We'll see. Probably tomorrow. All right. Lehatov, guys.